In the United States, over the last decade, 60,000 pedestrians died under the wheels of an automobile. 1 million pedestrians were injured. Join us for the next half hour as we take a look at Perils for Pedestrians.
On this episode, we meet the executive director of Walk-Bike Nashville. Then we learn about Team Green. Finally, we have an in-depth discussion with Nashville's bicycle and pedestrian coordinator. Stay tuned. We're in Nashville talking with Shannon Hornsby, who's executive director of Walk-Bike Nashville. What is Walk-Bike Nashville?
Walk-Bike Nashville is the locally based nonprofit organization dedicated to walking and biking for the greater Nashville area. We focus on public education, public awareness, and advocacy. We are the only organization of its kind in the entire state of Tennessee.
And there are a lot of different areas of pedestrian bicycle issues one can work with. What have you been doing about children?
About children, we have a program called Music City Moves Kids, which is our official Safe Routes to School program. The program goes directly into PE classrooms, puts fourth graders on bicycles so we can teach them how to ride a bike safely, how to check it, make sure it's safe to get on. And then we also work with the kindergartners and first graders and pass on the curriculum on pedestrian safety. If there's not a sidewalk, where do you walk? If there is a sidewalk, which direction do you go? How do you cross the street safely? If you're in a parking lot, where do you walk? Things like that. We cover all those things so that kids know how to get to school and home from school safely on bike or on foot. And then part of that program is also working with the surrounding community as well as the parents and teachers to pinpoint barriers to that safe route to school. Is there a gap in the sidewalk? Are there cracks in the sidewalk? Maintenance issues? Is there no sidewalk? Is there no crosswalk? Signage? One school we worked with, for example, didn't have a school zone. So pinpointing barriers like that and then addressing those by sending the recommendations to Public Works.
And you got your education programs in the school going on a regular basis. You also have special events like Walk to School Day that show up once a year. How do those relate to each other? Do they help reinforce each other?
Walk to School Day plays a very important role in bringing about the public awareness, letting folks know that it's possible to walk to school. It's this yearly event, and Nashville actually has one of the highest participation rates in the country. We had just over 50 schools participate in Walk to School Day this year. Last year we had 46. It continues to grow every year. And that one day a year gets the media out. There are images of kids all over the news, all over the paper, showing people kids want to walk to school. Media outlets will interview the children. They will say, I want to walk to school. I want to ride my bike. So that gives us a chance to continue following up and go in with the program and do the education and not only teach the kids, but teach the parents. Make sure that education's happening at home. Kind of make sure there's follow through. So Walk to School Day is kind of a kickoff event because it's closer to the beginning of the year. It helps us to really hit it home with the message.
You have something called the BPAC. What's that stand for?
That's BPAC, which is the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Council, and that is something that is appointed by Mayor Dean. Walk-Bike Nashville had a strong hand in working with the mayor's office and making sure that, one, this happened. We have a strategic plan for sidewalks and bikeways. It was adopted in 2003, and in that original plan was a call for a BPAC. And the purpose of that BPAC being a body, an entity that could work with the government agencies to make sure we were addressing bike and pedestrian issues, whether it be, should we do this? Yes or no? What community is facing the largest issues? Are we having a lot of pedestrian or bike accidents? How do we address that? Where's the focus need to go? Utilizing that body to actually kind of serve as a bridge, kind of serve as, for lack of a better word, a referee between, let's say, the planning and the public works department, because you have these plans coming out, these ideas for how do we develop for pedestrians and bicyclists, Well, our Metro Public Works Department has kind of a different idea than our Metro Planning Department. So this body will really kind of help make sure those lines of communication are open. So really looking forward to that. The call for the BPAC was taken out of the updates of 2008 for the Strategic Plan for Sidewalks and Bikeways. We were very lucky that Mayor Dean made that a priority. He came to Walk-Bike Nashville. He said, can you do some research? Can you tell us what works and what doesn't work? What's the best structure? What's the best authority? How should this BPAC look? And, who are people in the community that will really represent the diversity of the community so that we can make sure we're reaching and understanding all of the sides of Nashville?
We're in Nashville talking with Laurel Creech with Team Green. What is Team Green?
Team Green is an outdoor adventure environmental organization to connect our community with the outdoors. And the whole idea is to engage them in the outdoors so they find a larger respect for their environment.
And what have you been doing lately that might have something to do with walking or bicycling?
Well, we actually engage our listeners in our community here in Nashville with lots of local activities where we take them out on our local hikes or like local bike lanes, our local parks, and our local creeks. We do cleanup projects in our local creeks. So we try to localize it as much as possible so that they know where they can recreate and enjoy the outdoors close to home.
And you've been working on any environmental projects lately?
Well, many, actually. The Mayor Dean, our new mayor, he's actually been mayor for a year now, has put together the Green Ribbon Committee, which is a group of 24 people, volunteers, that have committed themselves to come up with a plan for the city of Nashville to be a greener, more sustainable city. And we got together as a group and started meeting and discussing and realized that mobility is one of our top priorities. So we created a subcommittee that is working primarily on mobility. And of course, mobility is multifaceted, and pedestrian is a huge issue with mobility. And when you have lots of access for pedestrian behavior, then you get the mindset change, and then you get a healthier community. People are wanting to interact with each other, they're wanting to eat healthier, their lifestyles are healthier, and even have a safer community too. So it seems like that puzzle piece of mobility will be a key to a greener city.
And you have Team Green, but you also have Teen Green.
Right.
What's that?
Teen Green is for the youth, and actually it kind of spearheaded out of Richard Louve's book, No Child Left Inside, The Last Child in the Woods, that his whole thing about nature deficit disorder. And the idea behind that is working with youth of all ages to get them engaged in their urban environments. And we work with underprivileged children where we bring them out into their natural settings around where they live. So we point out where you can use the sidewalks to get to a park, to get to a playground, to get to a creek to play in. So we get more of the kids outside, and when you have that, it fosters more safety, it fosters a healthier community, and fosters a healthy child, obviously, and also can bring together family and siblings and friends when you get them outdoors playing with each other. And it gives you downtime. I mean, nowadays kids are so inundated with IT stuff everywhere you go. Outdoors is just the most natural setting for them to just be. And to have access points to that, the importance of healthy sidewalks to be able to access those healthy living objects and arenas and infrastructure is the key to it. So we're getting the kids out there, and we're recognizing places that we can enhance the facilities to get the kids out there.
We're in Nashville, Tennessee, talking with Toksoma Shakin, who's the pedestrian and bicycle coordinator for Metro Nashville. What does a ped bike coordinator do?
Well, it's a role that involves both working with other agencies that deal with bicycle and pedestrian issues, and also working with the public to improve the walkability and bikeability of a city. There are several around the country, several state bike ped coordinators who deal with bicycle and pedestrian issues on a statewide level, but most city bike ped coordinators, city county bike ped coordinators work with, community advocates, work with the planning departments, work with the public works departments to improve walkability and bikeability within the city. So this year it's been pretty interesting work because of some of the issues we've faced with the environment and with the economy. We've sort of become this more popular, in-demand profession than ever before. This year, I've gotten so many emails and calls related to wanting a sidewalk or wanting a bike path or a bike lane or something within their neighborhood than ever before. It's been interesting because over the years we've been pushing the agenda of looking at these options of walking and biking as more of a transportation issue, and it's been challenging because there've been other issues that are more people have perceived to be more important. But when it's come to the economy, especially this year, it's been something that people are eager to try to address. For so many years, we were pushing bike ped issues because of the environment, for one, and because of health. The second, getting people to walk and bike more. Studies show, increases your level of physical activity and ultimately improve your health. And the environment piece where we talk about driving less improves improves the environment, reduces things like asthma among kids, things like that. So we've used all these angles to try to really move the agenda forward. But this year, when gas prices go up to nearly $5 a gallon, and in some areas around the country, everybody was saying it's either transit or walking or I'm biking. So the issue sort of came real full circle this year, and a lot of people, I think it's sort of got on their front plate. It's now sort of a main issue on their agenda. So been an interesting year doing the work, and I've been doing the work here now in Nashville for about 6.5 years. So this year's probably been one of the more exciting points that I've had in the position.
And you mentioned back before everyone was reacting to their pocketbook with high gas prices. There were concerns about health. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation had a major initiative that Nashville was involved with. Tell us a little bit about that. What they call their program?
Yeah, the program was called Active Living by Design, and it's sort of this holistic approach to addressing physical activity and the connections to health through the way our environment's designed. One of the main things that they wanted to do with the program was to increase physical activity, levels of physical activity based on the way our environment's built. So not making a special effort, in a sense, to have to go and play tennis or join a gym club or have to go play basketball, but have an environment that supports it naturally, where you're not making the special effort. So that's what the term basically means, active living based on the way your environment's designed. So the program Active Living by Design, we got it in Nashville 5 years ago. We just wrapped it up, sort of the last pieces of it, in October. October 31st was the final day for the grant, and it's been a really interesting project. There was some notion early on when we got it in 2003 that it was going to be pretty easy work. I've worked on grants before, so there was sort of the sense that, hey, another grant, but this, I got to tell you, this is probably one of the most demanding projects I've worked on, and it's without a doubt, I think been fruitful for the city in so many different areas.
What sort of things were you able to accomplish over the course of the 5 years?
Well, there were, and I don't know if you remember this, we had this discussion last time you were in Nashville. There were 5 main areas that they wanted us to focus on. And again, sort of goes back to the holistic approach to addressing the issue, not just saying, just build more sidewalks and everybody's going to start walking and biking, but focus on what they perceived, what the RWJF perceived as the 5 important issues to address the built environment, physical activity, and health. And there were, I'll run through these briefly, preparations, we call them the 5 Ps, by the way. Yeah. Preparations, promotions, programs, policy reform, and physical projects. And I'll start at the end there with physical projects. The whole idea behind physical projects is what I said earlier: build more sidewalks, build more greenways, build more facilities or supporting facilities that will allow people to be able to bike and walk more. And with the foundation giving us only roughly $250,000, you're not going to be able to build so much sidewalk or trails or bike lanes. So the idea was to on our end was to see whether or not we could get some small wins, some low-hanging fruits like crosswalk improvements in their schools, or a small trail connection. That's not going to be a huge capital expense that we can take on, and also at the same time try to work with our departments like Public Works, the city engineers, to see whether or not they could address some of the issues we identify through some of our surveys and things like that, to see whether they can address some of those physical project needs that way. So to get to some of our accomplishments, we had a pretty wide range of ways to try to go about it. We try to focus on places where there were kids, places where there were seniors, and places where there was a high concentration of minorities, because they have the highest rate of health disparities in the city of Nashville, like a lot of cities across the country. So we got several things done, like I mentioned, crosswalks, wins like that. We got bike parking put in some elementary schools where there was a high level of interest among kids to bike, but they were tying their locking their bikes to trees and signs on the road and things like that. We got bike parking put in. So we got a lot of small projects done. Nothing that was of a big sort of major capital level, but a lot of small projects for seniors to improve. One of my favorite physical projects was we worked with our Public Works department to improve a road crossing near our senior center where seniors lived, in a senior housing complex. They complained about not having enough time to cross the road to go to a shopping center that was very nearby, and we worked. It took some hard work and a lot of sort of internal heavy discussions, but we eventually got it done to where they gave pedestrians that were going to be using that crosswalk a little bit more time to cross. So that was one of my favorite ones. To the fourth P, which was policy reform, we were able to, in my opinion, achieve some things that I really thought were going to be challenging to try to get done, because policy reform it requires a lot of a lot of working with elected officials and a lot of different bodies, a lot of different agencies to try to get adopted or passed, and it's not something that's you easily come by. And one of the things we were able to do was to adopt a subdivision regulation that now requires, without a doubt, sidewalks when developers when a developer comes in to build a development. It has components like, in this new regulation, it has components where you have shorter block lengths to encourage walkability. Has components such as sort of pulling back on cul-de-sacs and things like that, encouraging more designs that are that encourage more connectivity. Some of the requirements in there now, as far as cul-de-sacs go, there's a design that we call sort of a loop street, where development is better laid out along what still looks like a cul-de-sac, but it's better laid out along it and sort of requires connections from that particular cul-de-sac to a development that's nearby. So we actually got this adopted. I think it was in 2006. So it was one of our major our major accomplishments as far as policy goes. And we're looking at more things. Since the grant ran out last in October, we're not sort of stopping there with policy. I think we're going to keep focusing on policy issues because it's probably going to be one of the more impacting things that we do in the long term. Is address policy issues that encourage physical activity and walkability and bikeability. So some of the other things we're looking at is school siting, changing requirements or improving requirements rather, to make sure schools can still be allowed to be located in neighborhoods instead of sort of these rural suburban areas where kids can't walk to school. Working on policies related to that, working on bike parking, working to make sure that when developers come in with a project, the city code addresses the need for parking based on the type of development that it is. So if it's a mixed use development or it's an apartment complex, things like that, there's going to be a certain requirement for bike parking. And some of these things we've already worked on and drafted them, but just sort of getting over the hump of doing the political sort of advertising to make sure that we can get them adopted is the work that still needs to be done. So I feel pretty good about some of the things we were able to do from a policy standpoint. From a program standpoint, we were able to launch 4 programs in total that focused on some of the things that I mentioned already: seniors, kids, and minorities. So one of the biggest things that we were able to do was bring safe routes to school to Nashville. Prior to this grant coming, there was nobody really working towards an agenda like that here. And with a lot of help from the foundation and the Active Living by Design team, we were able to come up with our sort of framework for what our safe routes to school would be. And we called it Music City Moves Kids. That's what sort of our brand for Safe Routes to School was. And we reached, I'm not sure what the final numbers will be after everything's over, but we reached at least 1,000 kids with the program by doing bike ped education, improving the environments around the school, providing them things like helmets, kids who didn't have helmets, working to see that kids that were interested in bikes could get bikes, things like that. So a lot of success on that front also with Safe Routes to School, and our programs with seniors and with minorities also pretty good feedback from the targeted populations that we worked with. So a lot accomplished on that front. Promotions, which was the fourth P, also pretty impressive big things that we were able to do. Prior to the grant coming, there was no event in this town. Imagine a town of this size that had anything to do with walkability or bikeability, except for Walk to School Day and Walk Nashville Week, but nothing that had a component related to biking. So we were able to come up with an event through this effort, through Active Living by Design, come up with an event called the Tour de Nash. And it's a non-competitive event that focuses on getting families, kids, minority populations, and even the population that already bikes a ton and walks a ton out to this sort of almost day-long event to walk and bike around Nashville. Comes from right here downtown near the Shelby Street pedestrian bridge that you were on the last time you were in Nashville, all the way to sort of the rural parts of town. So a pretty wide-ranging event that goes from either a 2-mile walk to a 4-mile walk. Bike rides ranging from all the way from 4 miles to 62 miles in this town. And a lot of it's focused on using parks, using sidewalks, using bike lanes on street, and using greenway trails. So it's an amazing event that's really grown from the first year of us doing it, having about 500 people walking bike, to last year I think our numbers were like 1,500 people walking and biking. So it's within that 5-year window sort of tripled, and it's gotten a lot of support from foundations and corporations in Nashville to sponsor, to come on as sponsors, even when Active Living by Design funds run out. So it's been very encouraging to see what we've been able to do with it. It's almost sort of taken on a life of its own here. I mean, we normally do the event in May during National Bike Month, and by January, emails are already starting to come in. Where are the routes going this time? Where am I going to walk or bike for the tour? I can't wait. So it's really grown. Moving on to preparations, which is the final and fit P. One of the things that preparations was about was it basically charged us to build more of a partnership in Nashville to address the issue. It was about bringing the different stakeholders, the different players together to address the obesity epidemic issue, the lack of physical activity, and lack of properly designed environment together. Bring them all together, and get them in a room and start focus on these issues jointly and not in the different silos that we've been working in for years. So I got to tell you, that was probably one of the most challenging pieces to this project effort, because people are so accustomed to doing just that, to just sort of working in their own little island, and thinking collectively and trying to address things like that is often a challenge when you have your own specific budget. You have your own specific set of issues that you think are important, and sort of working together and say, hey, let's get some synergy behind this and work on this together. It was challenging, and at first we tried to maintain this high level of partners of about 40 different partners, and over the years those numbers sort of dwindled a bit, but we still have those. One of the things that I think we were able to do was we still have those people's, we still have the ear, and they're still aware. They understand it more, because I think before the dots weren't really connected, and people couldn't really see that the fact that we're not building these things or we're not addressing these issues. People are losing the opportunity to be active as they go about daily living. So I think it's one of the things that we need to keep working on to sort of get over the hump, if you will, in Nashville as it relates to continuing to make the connections between the built environment, the way we design our cities and communities, and health. So I think the work continues there. And the other piece to preparations was bringing in funding.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.